Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Sri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayana Iti Namine Prema Bhakti Rasanandam Kripa Sindhum Amananam Pragyapayantam Vande Sri Bhakti Vedanta Narayanam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Sarasvati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. So today is going to be very short. We're preparing for a program tonight at our place with Srila Bhaktivedanta Madhav Maharaj. So we're just covering two verses, 17 and 18. Atatais trividair veshair lilam udvahata kila yoga nidra bhagavati tasya shririva sangata. Thereafter, Mahapurusha Bhagavan, having entered the universe in the forms of Prajapati, Vishnu, and Shambhu, performs his pastime of maintenance, creation, and dissolution, which occurs within the inert material energy. Since this pastime is so insignificant, he associates with Bhagavati Yoga Nidra, who is the personification of mystical absorption in his own intrinsic bliss and the partial manifestation of the spiritual potency. So there's a couple of things to note in reference to things we've discussed previously. It's described here that this is an insignificant pastime. So Mahavishnu is basically going to consort with Yoga Nidra, who is an expansion of his spiritual potency. Because it is not a difficult thing for him to do. God does not have to break into a sweat to perform the act of creation. And he has entered the universe as Vishnu and as Prajapati. Prajapati, as previously described, refers to Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha is the original form of Brahmaji, who is basically an expansion of Bhagavan Vishnu and who is providing the creative power. And Shambhu is that expansion of the transformed expansion of Bhagavan Vishnu, who performs annihilation and who is the root of Lord Shiva. So now we'll go on to the Tika translation of Srila Jiva Goswami. The current verse describes the Leela of the Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh who have entered the material universe. Bhagavan Vishnu performs the tasks of creating, maintaining, and annihilating the material world by entering the universe in three forms: Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh. Here, Yoga Nidra Bhagavati Tasya Shri Sangata indicates that because Brahma and Shambhu have a self-conception of being separate from the essential reality of Bhagavan, they sport with their respective aspects of the inferior potency, namely Savitri and Uma, who are the shadow forms of the transcendental potency. So Brahmaji's consort is Savitri, Shankarji's consort is Uma, also called Parvati. Eternally, there is one consort of Shankarji. She has appeared as Sati, the daughter of Prajapati Daksha, and then she came also as Parvati, the daughter of Himalaya. This is also a very interesting narration that is in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So when Sati came to the Daksha Yagya, and there she witnessed her father, Prajapati Daksha, was speaking out against Lord Shiva, he was doing ninda, he was blaspheming Lord Shiva. She could not tolerate it. She gave up her body then and there. And then Shankarji was very distraught, and he sent, of course, he sent his jata, came as Virabhadra, and Virabhadra came and destroyed the sacrificial arena and invoked so much punishment on Prajapati Daksha. And then by the grace of Shankarji, he received the head of a goat so that he could complete the sacrifice. But Sati, of course, was very dear. Why was Sati very dear to Shankarji? So Gurudev has explained this because Shankarji was giving Harikatha always, and Sati was always hearing. For Harikatha, there has to be a speaker and there has to be a Shrota or listener. So Sati was always hearing Shankarji's Harikatha. But after this death of Sati, Shankarji went into Maun Vrat. He would not speak. He did not say anything. He did not give any boons. He was only meditating on Bhagavan Vishnu. And in the meantime, his own potency was waiting to be born. Now, she is described, Uma is described as the shadow form of the Swarup Shakti. So she is Chaya, she is the shadow, but she is powerful. So she has the power of Swarup Shakti, but she is the shadow. Why? Because she is predominates over the ignorance of the living entities and creates the illusion that the living entity can be separate from Bhagavan. Anyway, while Shankarji was in the Maunavrat, he did not say anything, and so there was no Harikatha going on from Shankarji. Finally, when Parvati came, and she came and sat, and she began to hear Harikatha, the day where Shankarji began to speak Harikatha is Mauni Amavasya. That is the day when Shankarji ended his Maunavrat. That is also the day of appearance of my Gurudev, Nitilila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj. Anyway, Bhagavan Vishnu as Mahavishnu is associating with Bhagavati Mahayoganidra, who is the partial manifestation of Ramadevi or Sri Lakshmi. And she is the personification of mystical absorption in his own intrinsic bliss. So Mahavishnu's nature, as Bhagavan, he is Satchidananda Vigraha. He is the repository of Anand. Ramante yogino nante satyananda chidatmani iti rama padenasau param brahma vidhiyate. The Supreme Personality is known as Rama because yogis derive unlimited transcendental bliss within him. And he can derive bliss from his own blissful existence. And that is done through the agency of Bhagavati Mahayoganidra. So our nature, we have associated with material nature, and by bodily identification, we get some very little pleasure mixed with pain. Hlada tapakari mishra dvayino gunavarjite. But in the existence of Bhagavan, his existence itself is Anand. But he himself wants to taste the Anand given by his Swarup Shakti in the form of his Hladini Shakti, Shri Radha. But as Mahavishnu, this pastime of creation is so insignificant that he is instead absorbed in his own blissful existence as Yoga Nidra. So this is the meaning of Yoga Nidra according to Srila Jiva Goswami. The expression Shri Riva means that this Ramadevi is an expansion of the original Lakshmi Devi who reigns in Vaikuntha. Tatparya by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Since Brahma and Shambhu are both separated personal expansions, and since they have a self-conception of being separate from the essential reality of Bhagavan, They sport with their respective aspects of the inferior potency, Savitri and Uma, who are the shadow forms of the transcendental potency. Only Bhagavan Vishnu is the husband of the personal transcendental potency, Rama or Lakshmi. So in Sri Radha Kripa Kataksha Stavaraj, we say Uma Savitri, these are all forms of her expansions, because even though they are the shadow forms, still they have come from Srimati Radhika, just as Sri Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srimati Radhika is the original consort of Bhagavan. And so from her come all Lakshmis, and from Lakshmi comes her expansion as Rama Devi, who consorts with Mahavishnu, and the shadow of Rama Devi is the inferior energy, personified as Uma or Durga. So only Bhagavan Vishnu is the husband of the transcendental potency Rama or Lakshmi. Sarasvati also, there is Divya Sarasvati, and this is, we will talk later about Sarasvati because this will come up in the context. But Sarasvati, who is the goddess of speech and learning, she is also has two forms. Her original form as a manifestation of Swarup Shakti, and her form as the shadow, which is the form that we are familiar with. So this is text 18 now. Sisrikshayam tato nabhis tasya padmam viniryayao tannalam hemanalinam brahmano lokamadbhutam. When Garbhodakshai Vishnu desired to create, from his navel emerged a golden lotus flower, from which the creator Brahma appeared. Complete with its stem, this wonderful golden lotus flower is the residence of Brahma and is known as Brahmalok or Satyalok. So the golden lotus flower, complete with its stem, is the birthplace and resting place of Brahmaji and is therefore called Brahmaloka. This is the Tika translation, Tika of Srila Jiva Goswami, and the Tatparya says that in this context, the word swarna or golden indicates the semblance of transcendence. So we don't really have a concept of Brahmaloka or Satyaloka, which is the highest place within this material universe. Brahmaji is sometimes called Parameshti. He resides in the highest place because Satyaloka is at the top of this material world. Like there is maybe some very rich person who has his office all the way at the top of the Empire State Building, which used to be the tallest building in the world. Brahmaji also similarly has his abode there in Satyalok. Also, the passage of time is different in every loka of this world. So there is a story, for example, that Maharaj Raivata, he had his daughter Revati, and he could not find a suitable husband for her. This was in Satyayug. So he went with her to Brahmalok to ask Brahmaji. Brahmaji, he is like the person who everyone will go to when there is the ultimate problem that no one can solve. And he was asked, please just wait 1 minute. Brahmaji is hearing a concert by some Gandharvas. So he sat for just 1 minute, and then he came in, and Brahmaji smiled and he said, oh, Maharaj Raivata, I know why you have come. But all the persons you have considered as possible husbands for your daughter Revati, they have long since been dead. Even the people who know their names have long since been dead. No one even remembers their names. But now it is Dwapara Yuga, and there is one person who is the avatar of Bhagavan, because Revati was actually an expansion of Lakshmiji. So she could only marry Bhagavan. And so Balaram had appeared, and at that time it was meant that Revati should be his consort. And so Brahmaji gave this information to Maharaj Revata, who returned and married his daughter Revati. There were two wives of Baladevji, Revati and Varuni. So Revati came in Mahaprabhu's Leela as Janava Devi. Janava Devi's appearance was only Saturday, this just 2 days ago. And today is Ekadashi, of course. So this was also the Navami, which is the appearance of Sita Devi, the consort of Sri Ram. Varuni also came in Mahaprabhu's Leela. She was the mother of Veerabhadra Prabhu, and he was the only surviving son of Nityananda Prabhu. Why? Because so many sons came, and she was the sister of Janava Devi, and so many sons came, and every son who came, when Abhiram Thakur would bow down, would do his pranam, they would die. But only when Veerabhadra came and Abhiram Thakur did pranam to him, he did not die. So this was a special quality of Abhiram Thakur, who was an associate of Nityananda Prabhu. If he bowed down to any deity which was not deity of Bhagavan Vishnu, that deity would burst apart, burst asunder. So anyway, this is the place of Brahmaji, his residence, and also within the stem of the lotus flower, that lotus flower which has come from the navel of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, Brahmaji is able to construct all of the different planetary systems. It is a very difficult thing to conceive, and it is said to be golden in color because it has the semblance of transcendence. It is the as far up as you can go within this material world. But still, even in Satyaloka, Abrahma Bhuvanalokya Punaravartinorjuna, even if one goes to Brahmalok, even if one goes to the abode of Brahmaji, there are very few fortunate persons who reside there. Still, one will have to come back again and take birth. It is not a position of factual liberation. So, as mentioned, this is just a very, very short discussion on these two verses, and next week we will continue with verse 19. Any questions? Otherwise, we'll end there. All right. Hare Krishna, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.